Hello viewers, I am Mr. Dilip Kumar Pal stands before you with a very important topic of the paper number 10 Global Politics of the 4th semester, and the name of the topic today is Meaning of International Terrorism and Role of Non-State Actors and State Terrorism. So today's topic is Meaning of International Terrorism, Role of Non-State Actors and Role of State Terrorism. So I request my viewers to watch this video till the end and make best use of this video. I request you to subscribe if you have not subscribed, so that benefit will be yours, and intimate your friends to subscribe my channel, so it will be help to some students. Because in my channel videos of plus 2 first year to plus 2 second year, plus 3 first semester to plus 3 fourth semesters are available. I request my viewers to make best use of my channel. Let us start. What is international terrorism? In the world today, human beings face a lot of problems. Today, human beings are facing a lot of problems like environmental problems, violation of human rights, problem of malnutrition, problem of terrorism in the international sphere, and some other problems. But the most vital problem today which human beings are facing is international terrorism. Terrorism which is found not in one country but in a series of countries. This is what international terrorism. So what is international terrorism? Sometimes people are confused international terrorism with cross-border terrorism. But actually, international terrorism is different from the cross-border terrorism. Cross-border terrorism means whenever a terrorist organization will be originated from a country and it will get support of that country both in the form of weapons and in the form of money, and it will carry out its terrorist work in a single country. It is known as cross-border terrorism. But international terrorism is something different. International terrorism means it is a plus of two words. One is international, it means international level. Other one is the terrorism. Terrorism means it is a plus of two words. One is terrire, other one is deterre. Terrire stands for tremble. Deterre stands for frighten. So terrorism means whenever people will be frightened, that out of fear they will tremble, it is known as terrorism. And whenever terrorism will be found in international level, it is known as international terrorism. And various international terrorist organizations are found who are carrying out this international terrorist work. These are mainly Al-Qaeda, which was formed in 1979. It targets mainly America, Britain and Israel and India also. Then another international terrorist organization is ISIS. It targets Western countries and non-Islamic countries. So these are all international terrorist organizations. So we are clear till now how international terrorism is different from the cross-border terrorism, and what is international terrorism we are clear, and what are the international terrorist organizations. Now discuss types of international terrorism. International terrorisms are of many types. One is discriminate, other one is indiscriminate. Discriminate international terrorism means sometimes terrorists target a particular person or a particular organization or a particular country. It is known as discriminate international terrorism. Indiscriminate international terrorism means here terrorists will not target any person or any institution or any country. It carries out its work indiscriminately. Number two, right-wing international terrorism and left-wing international terrorism. Right-wing international terrorism means it is a type of terrorism which wants to maintain the status quo. It does not want change. So to maintain the change, it carry out its terrorist work. It is known as right-wing international terrorism. Number two, another one is left-wing international terrorism. Left-wing international terrorism means sometimes some terrorist organizations are working for change. In order to bring change, they carry out their terrorist activities. Number three, another one is nationalistic and separatist terrorism. Nationalistic terrorism means sometimes to make a country independent from a foreign country, terrorist activities are made. It is known as nationalist international terrorism. Other one is the separatist international terrorism. Sometimes, in order to separate an area from the mainland and to make that separate area an independent country, terrorists are carrying out their terrorist activities. It is known as the separatist international terrorism. Then, cross-border terrorism. Cross-border terrorism means whenever a terrorist organization will be originated from a country and it will be supported by that country and it will carry out a terrorist work in a particular country, against a particular country. It is known as the cross-border terrorism. Other one is the international terrorism. International terrorism means whenever terrorist activities are made in the international level, it is known as the international terrorism. So we are clear what is international terrorism and we are clear what are the types of international terrorism. Now discuss methods of terrorist groups. What methods they apply? Number one, use of bombs. Sometimes they use bomb to achieve their target. Serial bomb blast in Bombay in 1993 was an example. Is an example. Number two, assassination. Sometimes they assassinate to show their terrorist activities. Assassination of Anwar Sadat, the president of Egypt. He was assassinated because he signed peace treaty with Israel at Camp David. So he was assassinated by his opponents. Then assassination of Rajiv Gandhi in 1991. Lord Mountbatten was also assassinated. Sometimes terrorists are taking shelter of assassination method. Number three, hijacking. Sometimes terrorists are hijacking aircrafts to show their terrorist activities. Indian aircraft was hijacked to Kandahar. Then 4 American planes were hijacked by Al Qaeda on 11 September 2001. Al Qaeda hijacked 4 aeroplanes of America to show their terrorist activities. So sometimes they carry out hijacking plan. Number 4, landmine blast. Sometimes terrorists are conducting landmine blast. They are take shelter of blasting for the terrorist activities. Then it is found in mainly in India, where Naxalites are taking shelter of landmine blasting against police personnel. Then another one is the suicide squad. In 1991, Rajiv Gandhi was murdered by a women terrorist. Suicide squad means sometimes terrorists are keeping bomb in with their body and they will blast the target along with themselves. It is known as the suicide squad. So these are the techniques which are used by the terrorists. Now discuss what are the causes of international terrorism. There are some causes. First one is the religion. Sometimes some terrorists believe that their religion is the superior and any person who will challenge this, they will be targeted. And for this reason, Al Qaeda has been originated. And number two, historical grievances. Sometimes terrorist groups target the government for historical injustices made by the government. For example, in Russia, Chechen militants are fighting against the Russia because Russia was not giving independence to Chechnya. So it is on historical grievances. It is a ground. Historical grievances means sometimes terrorist organization target the government for its injustices made in the past. So Chechen militants are fighting now against the Russia because Russia is not in the past. Russia had not given independence to Chechnya. Now also it is not giving. Number three, violation of international law. Sometimes terrorists are taking their terrorist activities whenever they will not get justice from the international organizations. So, Army of Palestine, they accuse Israel that Israel has taken their area. So they are carrying out the terrorist activities. And they appeal to international organizations, but nobody is hearing. So they are telling that international organizations are not giving them justice. So Palestinian army is carrying out its terrorist activities against Israel. Fifth one. Then fourth one is financial gain. In order to gain a ransom amount of money, sometimes terrorists take hostage of some persons. In the past, Abu Sayyaf, Sayyaf, Abu Sayyaf, take shelter of this method in Philippines. They take terrorist activity, they take hostages to gain a ransom amount. For money, sometimes terrorists are carrying out the terrorist activity. Then, career in terrorism. Sometimes some people are interested to carry out terrorist activities. They want to make their career in terrorism. So they are joining in terrorist groups. Then, narcissism. Narcissism means it is due to PPD. Paranoid personality disorder. It means sometime within people there is a feeling by which they will suspect somebody and they will feel that somebody will harm him. This is known as the feeling of narcissism. So it is also a cause of terrorism. Then other one is the publicity. Publicity. To make publicity, also terrorists are carrying out the terrorist activities. To make publicity and communicate the demand to the government, terrorists are carrying out terrorist activities. Then racism. Sometimes some terrorists believe that a particular race is superior, a race is inferior. So inferior races should be wiped out from the world. For this, sometimes terrorists are carrying out the terrorist activity. Sometimes they want that black race and Jews should be totally wiped out from the world. So for the sake of racism, sometimes terrorism, so racism is sometimes a cause for terrorism. Okay, because sometimes some terrorists feel that a particular race is superior, race is inferior, so they want to suppress the inferior races. So for this they carry out terrorist activities. Then relative deprivation. If some area will develop, other area will not develop. Those area will not develop. People of that area will be displaced and they carry out terrorist activities against the government. Then neglect of demand of people. Whenever demand of people will be neglected, then people will be dissatisfied, and it is also a cause of terrorism. So these are the causes of terrorism. Now discuss role of non-state actors and role of state actors. So who are the non-state actors? Non-state actors means it is not backed by any country. Non-state actors means it is not backed by any state. No state will support it. It collects funds and weapons by itself. It is non-state actors. Non-state actor means it will not get support from any country. It will collect fund and weapon by itself. Number 3, they defend its cause. They justify their activities. It does not tolerate its rivals and flourish of its opponent. It does not tolerate its rivals and flourish of its opponents. Then they believe in bloody actions. They believe in violent activities, bloody actions, bloodshed. Then they take responsibility of their attack. They take responsibility of their attack. For example, Al-Qaeda takes the responsibility of its attack on America on 11 September 2001. Because Al-Qaeda hijacked 4 planes of America. Boeing 767 in the morning, 8:45 on 11 September 2001, Boeing 767 was hijacked and it crashed in the north tower of the World Trade Center. Then after 18 minutes, again another Boeing 767 was hijacked and it crashed in the south tower of World Trade Center. Again, in morning 9:45 am, again Boeing 757, another Boeing was hijacked and it crashed in the west side of Pentagon building. Then again, another Boeing 757 was hijacked and it was crashed in the western Pennsylvania. So whenever non-state actors will carry out an terrorist activities, they take the responsibility. They will claim that they have made it. Again, in 2002, the Palestinian army attacked a hotel in Kenya in the place Mombasa in 2002, where many Israel tourists were staying. So whenever the hotel at Mombasa of Kenya was attacked, the Palestinian army take the responsibility. So these are the role of non-state actors. But now we discuss state terrorism or state-sponsored terrorism. So what is a state-sponsored or state terrorism? The first feature is that it is backed by a state. It is supported by a state in terms of money, in terms of weapon. It is supported by a state and state gives money and weapon. Number 2, it defends its cause. It defends its cause. It justifies its cause. Number 3, it does not tolerate its rivals. It does not tolerate its rivals and flourish of opponents. It does not tolerate rival and development of its opponents. It trusts in blood actions. It trusts in bloodshed, bloody actions. It does not take responsibility of its attack, but it does not take the responsibility of its attack. But non-state actors that take the responsibility of attack, but state-sponsored terrorists never they take responsibility of that attack. It does not publicize the activity. Whenever it will attack, it will not publicize its activities. But here, non-state actors will publicize their activity. So we are clear what is the role of non-state actors and what is the role of state-sponsored terrorism. Now discuss examples. What are the examples of state-sponsored terrorism? Violent activities of Russian Bolsheviks in 1917 against their opponents is an example. The violent activities of Russian Bolsheviks in 1917 against opponents is a state terrorism. Again, actions of mass killing of Jews by Nazi militia during Hitler in Germany is an example of state terrorism. The mass killing of Jews by Nazi militia during the time of Hitler in Germany is another example of state terrorism. Then actions of French revolutionary against opponents is another example of state terrorism. So we are clear here what is non-state actors, what is state-sponsored terrorism, and what are the differences between these two. The first difference is that non-state actors take the responsibility for the terrorist work, but state terrorist organization never take the responsibility. This is number one difference. Second difference is that non-state actors may publicize their activities, but state-sponsored terrorism never publicize the activity. So in this video we are clear what is international terrorism, what are the types of international terrorism, what methods they apply, and what are the causes of this international terrorism, and what is the role of non-state actors, and what is the role of state-sponsored terrorism, and what are the differences between non-state actors and state-sponsored terrorism. I request my viewers to take best use this video. Again we will be here with another video. Till now, goodbye to all.